Dave Sobel here, host of the Business of Tech podcast at the Acronis CyberFit Summit here in Miami. And I'm here with Rich Freeman of ChannelPro. Now, Rich, this is one of the situations where you got two interviewers talking to one another. So we'll
don't cross the streams.
Exactly. This is a bit of a mixture. But ChannelPro worked with the folks at Acronis on some research data that's come out here at the summit, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about your take on some of that. We're talking about that during the summit, of course, during a panel. But what was the number one thing that jumped out at you first from the research that you were looking at?
Well, I mean, I looked at it from the perspective of our audience, and I thought the study did a really good job of illustrating the bind that ChannelPro readers are in right now, where, a more treacherous threat landscape than ever before, customers who are not always so willing to pay for the additional safeguards that need to be in place to protect them, and therefore eroding margins. It was encouraging to see how high a percentage of respondents to the survey are successfully passing along the heavier costs that they're dealing with to their customers, but they had to fight for it, and their margins are going down. And so that really sort of sets the stage for a lot of the other data in the report about the interest in automation, the interest in integration, interest in consolidation.
Yeah, and it was interesting to look at that consolidation data because, of course, the case is that you can save like $5,000 and $230,000 or so on doing that consolidation. But what jumped out at me, and I wanted to get your take on it, was there's this number that says only 53% trust their vendors. What was your take on trust in the space right now?
Well, there were actually two numbers in there. So there was one number, and they were both right around the same number. One of them said that, roughly half people completely trust their vendors. Almost the same percentage of people completely trust themselves to secure their end users. And so there's just not a lot of confidence. Confidence is maybe even a better word than trust for those numbers. There is not a great deal of confidence in the security, the protection that is provided by vendor products, and as a result, there's not a ton of confidence in the security services that people are providing. I'm doing my best, the vendors are doing their best, our best might not be good enough.
Yeah, so I'll throw this out because we're going to debate this as well on the panel. I'm going to throw out for a thought exercise, why shouldn't that number be 100% don't trust? Isn't that actually a good outcome? What's your take on that?
That's actually a really great point, because what is one of the hottest terms and concepts in security right now? Zero trust. So arguably, 50% trust means hit the books, people. That's too much trust.
So the other thing that I was really intrigued by was this idea about SaaS management that the gets into. Only 3% say they're managing all of the SaaS applications within an organization. Is this something you're seeing from the audience talking about the kind of chaos across SaaS management right now?
Well, definitely, definitely. But I would also say that 3%, those are the people who are deluded, because nobody is managing all the SaaS applications in their customer environments. They're managing the ones they know about. And when I talk to vendors that make these tools that go out and actually inventory everything that's out there, 100% of the time they find stuff out there nobody knew was there. So nobody's getting 100% of the applications right now. And that very much plays to the chaos that you're talking about out there, and the limited tool sets available. It's a struggle.
So as somebody that covers the space, what's the biggest thing you've got an ear to the ground for right now to try and hear what's coming?
Coming specifically to security, or?
I left it intentionally open-ended.
Well, we were probably just touching on one of the things that I know I'm watching right now, which is the whole SaaS management, SaaS security space. We've spoken about this before. You've got these big companies, sort of the legacy incumbent companies out there that have outstanding tools for managing endpoints. You've got tons of startups out there right now that are just born in the cloud. That's all they do is cloud management. And the question is, who kind of gets to the promised land of really having a tool that's going to help eliminate some of that chaos first? The legacy companies that have deeper pockets, but also a lot of sunk costs in increasingly outdated functionality that they've got to support, or these much smaller, nimbler companies that don't have the same resources. I'm keeping a close eye on that.
I think it's going to be an interesting time to watch the tools shake out, because the other thing that's interesting is we talk about this space, it's a people, process, and tools. Tools is only one bit of that. So I think my sort of last question is for you is are you hearing enough focus from the community, from your audience on the people and process to a level that you think that they're spending more of their attention there, or are they spending more of their attention on tools? How's your read on where they're spending their time?
Well, I think they're focusing I'm not going to say exclusively, but focusing too much on tools and not enough on the people and the process, and especially the process. And in almost any context that you can name, I mean, process is such an important part, process and policy around security, but it also is so critical to running a profitable, successful managed services business as well. It's not, the tools you use to get the job done, it's the processes, how efficient they are, how repeatable they are, how well documented they are. The best MSPs in the market understand that, and they're very thorough and rigorous about that kind of thing. There are a lot of companies that, it takes them a little time to learn that.
Well, Rich, thanks for taking some time to talk to me today.
Always a pleasure, Dave.
So why don't we stop? We'll do a little bit. All right, Rich, 2 interviewers. I'm going to give you the chance to turn it around. What do you want to know from me?
You know what, Dave? You used to work for a vendor. You used to be an MSP. Now you're a podcaster. With the camera on and the microphone and everything, I'm going to give you a chance to tell me as a member of the media, what are we doing well and what are we doing not so well?
It's a great question, because I do actually think about this a lot. I think the media in this space is very, very good at covering the moves of the vendors as a general analytics perspective. Where I think there's opportunity to do better is asking the hard questions about the downsides of some of these moves. In particular, when I look at the space right now, there is a definite power dynamic problem as we talk about security. You have a lot of organizations with very deep pockets that can make decisions in ways that small services organizations can't. That power dynamic, particularly around money, when risk is a kind of a proxy for money, we need to ask harder questions about that to make sure that we're doing a good job of speaking to the audience of MSPs so that they know both sides of that risk equation. So that would be the area I think we need to spend more time on as media.
Very good. I'm on it.